Hey, what's up? This is John from Disturbed, and I use SIT strings. As far as music in my family is concerned, my parents did not play instruments, and there wasn't a whole lot of music in the house, but I found out after I became a musician that my grandfather was a leader of his own band and actually played music a lot during his heyday, so maybe it skipped a generation for me. I got interested in playing rock and roll music, you know, because I just love the feel and the vibe of it, but I didn't really know anything about it, so I had a couple friends who played guitar, so I was like, well, let's get a band going. So I started playing guitar, and they were like, you know, we can't have three guitar players, John, and you're kind of the one that's really not as good as everybody else, so why don't you play the bass? And that's pretty much how it started. One of my big influences when I started playing was, I was listening to a lot of Guns N' Roses at the time and Metallica, but Duff McKagan in particular from GNR was a big influence on me on bass, and then I started getting into some older music like Black Sabbath, and then Geezer became an inspiration for me as well as Billy Gould from Faith No More. Nowadays, I kind of take inspiration from everywhere. I mean, not just individual bass players, but movie soundtracks and I mean, just anything. Even a commercial on TV will inspire a bass line or inspire some kind of, you know, inspiration towards my creativity. The first band in high school that I had with a couple of my best friends was called Asylum. I think most musicians are going to tell you that live is where it's at. It's the energy level, between you and the audience, and what's happening on stage. It's just incomparable. And the studio's great. It's a great place to create, but it can be real sterile. And I don't think that many of us got involved with playing music so they could sit in a studio and play the same lick 24 times till the producer tells you that that's the take. I think we all got into it because we wanted to stand on stage and we wanted to rock out. One of the biggest pieces of advice I would give to bass players and just any musician in general, especially guys starting out, they ask you, well, when should I start playing with someone? Right away. Right away you start jamming with people. Music is not meant to just be played by yourself in your bedroom or in your house alone. It's meant to be shared. One of the greatest ways to share it is by playing with other musicians. And that's the way you get better, and that's the way, you just exchange of ideas, and then of course when you start playing with people, it's just a step before you're be able to play in front of people. And so that's the biggest piece of advice I'd give, is just jump into it, both feet first, and start playing with other people. Even if you don't have the confidence, you can gain the confidence. You'd be surprised, the magic of music and jamming with other people. Even if you're playing with someone who you think is just way better than you, you'd be surprised, that even though you might think that they're way better, they're getting something out of playing with you too, even if you don't think you're quite up to par. And you're only going to get better if you play with people who are better than you. Number one thing that got me involved with SIT strings was a friend of mine said, hey man, you gotta check this company out, they make great strings. I checked them out, I put them on my bass, and it's the tone, man. Wherever the tone is, that's where I go. SIT's got the tone. Well, the kind of strings I use are the steel string SIT bass strings. They're real heavy. I use a 5-string instrument, so like my low B is actually a 130. It's kind of a specialty selection that SIT has been good enough to provide me with. And one of the reasons for that is, Disturbed, tuned down kind of low, so having that extra tension on the strings helps. And since I'm a pick player, when you're playing with the steel strings, it just really resonates well, and I love the way it chops through the mix. I think my ultimate goal as a musician is just to keep being relevant. I don't believe it, I can't achieve it. I think it's just another sign that never went away.